flour on her hands, a pot simmering on the stove, and a head full of tricks you won't find in any cookbook. These are Grandma's kitchen hacks, tested by time, rooted in love, and still smarter than most modern tips. Save butter wrappers for greasing pans. Grandma never wasted a thing, not even butter wrappers. After using a stick of butter, she'd fold the wrapper and tuck it into the fridge. Why? Because each one still held a thin coating of butter, perfect for greasing baking pans, casserole dishes, or waffle irons. It was convenient, efficient, and totally free. When it came time to bake, she'd pull out a wrapper, unfold it, and swipe it along the pan. No need to waste fresh butter or get greasy fingers. It also helped prevent overgreasing, which could make cakes too oily or fry edges. This tiny, thoughtful habit was part of a bigger mindset. Use what you have. Don't throw out what still has value. Today, it's a great way to reduce waste and keep your pans prepped with minimal effort. You might be surprised how many wrappers you can stash away for future baking days, just like Grandma did. Add a pinch of salt to coffee grounds. This one might surprise you. Grandma sometimes added a pinch of salt to her coffee grounds before brewing. Why? Because it cuts bitterness and smooths out harsh notes, especially in darker roasts or percolator coffee. The salt doesn't make the coffee salty, it enhances the flavor and balances the acidity. It was a trick she used on mornings when the beans weren't the best or when the pot had been sitting a bit too long. Just a tiny pinch, less than 1/8 teaspoon per pot, was enough. This hack was especially common in the South and among old-school diner cooks. Today it's making a comeback among coffee geeks who swear by its mellowing magic. It's easy to try and surprisingly effective. Just don't overdo it, or you'll end up with something closer to soup than espresso. Want smoother coffee without cream or sugar? Just do what Grandma did. Reach for the salt shaker. Have you ever added salt to your coffee, or does that sound totally wild? Let us know in the comments. Store bread with a celery stick. To keep bread soft and fresh, Grandma would tuck a stalk of celery into the bread bag. It sounds odd, but it works. The celery's natural moisture keeps the bread from drying out while preventing it from getting soggy. The bread absorbs just enough humidity to stay soft, while the celery gradually wilts. Unlike storing bread in the fridge, which can actually make it go stale faster, this method maintains the texture without affecting the flavor. It's especially handy for homemade or bakery loaves that lack preservatives. Grandmas knew that tossing out bread was wasteful, so this little trick helped stretch loaves a few extra days. It also worked well inside old-school bread boxes where airflow was just right. Today, it's a clever, chemical-free way to extend the life of your loaf. Try it next time your sandwich bread is on its last leg. It's one of those surprisingly simple hacks that proves Grandma really did think of everything. Reuse pickle juice for marinades. Grandma saw pickle juice as liquid gold. After the pickles were gone, the brine stayed, and she used it for marinating meats, dressing potato salads, or quick pickling veggies. The vinegar, salt, garlic, and spices made it a ready-to-go flavor bomb. Chicken soaked in leftover dill brine took on tang and tenderness. Thinly sliced onions or cucumbers tossed in the juice became instant condiments. Some even used it to jazz up deviled eggs or coleslaw. Pickle juice also added zip to pasta salad dressings and brined cheese cubes. Nothing in Grandma's kitchen went to waste, and her fridge was a treasure trove of jars filled with repurposed flavor. Today, chefs are catching on to what she knew all along. That humble pickle brine has endless potential. It's a no-cost seasoning secret hiding in plain sight. And coming up next, how did Grandma keep berries fresh without tossing half the pint? She had a vinegar trick for that too. Use cold water to stop eggs from overcooking. After boiling eggs, Grandma didn't leave them to sit and steam. She dunked them straight into cold water. This shock stopped the cooking process immediately, preventing that gray-green ring around the yolk and keeping the whites from turning rubbery. It also made peeling easier. The cold water created a little gap between the shell and the egg white as it cooled, making the shell slip off more cleanly. She'd even crack them gently in the water to let the chill seep under the shell. This simple step made a huge difference, especially for deviled eggs, egg salad, or Easter brunch trays. No fancy timers or ice baths, just cool tap water and a little patience. Today, it's still the best way to get perfect hard-boiled eggs every time. Overcooked eggs are a thing of the past when you follow Grandma's cooling cue. But cooling eggs was just the beginning. Wait until you see how she kept milk from boiling over. It's pure stovetop wizardry. Cool pie filling before adding top crust. If you ever wondered why Grandma's double crust pies didn't ooze or sag, here's her secret. She let the filling cool before adding the top crust. Hot fillings release steam, which can trap moisture under the dough, making it soggy and causing the crust to separate or collapse. Grandma always allowed fruit fillings, like apples, cherries, or peaches, to cool to at least room temperature before sealing the pie. This helped set the starches, control liquid, and maintain a clean shape. It also made crimping the edges easier and kept the decorative vents from tearing. Yes, it took more time, but the results were bakery-worthy. Today, many skip this step out of impatience, but it still makes all the difference. If you want a crisp, golden top and a pie that slices cleanly, cool it down first. Grandma didn't cut corners, and her pies didn't fall apart. Have you ever tried cooling your filling, or do you go straight from stove to crust? Let us know in the comments. Use salt to clean a cast iron skillet. Forget soap. Grandma swore by salt when it came to cleaning cast iron. After cooking, she'd sprinkle coarse salt into the warm pan and scrub it with a cloth or paper towel. The salt acted as a gentle abrasive, lifting food bits without stripping the seasoned surface. Then she'd wipe it clean, maybe rinse lightly, dry immediately, and rub in a bit of oil. This simple method kept skillets seasoned, slick, and non-stick for generations. Soap and soaking were no-goes. They could ruin the hard-earned patina built over years of use. Some even reused the same skillet for decades, handed down like family heirlooms. This hack is still recommended by cast iron experts today. It's all about maintaining the flavor and longevity of one of the most durable tools in the kitchen. So if you've got a rusty skillet in the back of the cupboard, don't toss it. Grab the salt. It's time to bring it back to life. And speaking of powerful pantry items, wait until you see what Grandma could do with a lemon in a microwave. Chill cookie dough before baking. If you ever wondered why Grandma's cookies had the perfect chew and didn't spread into puddles, here's her secret. She chilled the dough. After mixing, she'd pop the bowl, or pre-shaped dough balls, into the fridge for at least 30 minutes, sometimes overnight. The chill time allowed the fats, especially butter, to solidify, which slowed the spread during baking. It also gave the flour time to hydrate and the flavors to deepen. The result? Cookies that were richer, more complex, and beautifully textured. This trick worked for sugar cookies, chocolate chip, oatmeal, and even shortbread. Grandma didn't have a stand mixer or silicone mats, but she had patience, and it paid off. Today, pro bakers swear by this method, yet many home cooks skip it. But if you want cookies with crisp edges, chewy centers, and bakery quality results, don't rush it. Chill out, just like Grandma said. And speaking of chilling out, wait until you see how she used ice cubes to make rice fluffier. Clean copper with lemon and salt. Before chemical polishes, Grandma had a shiny secret for her copper pots and pans. Lemon and salt. She'd slice a lemon in half, dip the cut side in coarse salt, and rub it directly onto tarnished copper. The combination of citric acid and abrasion worked like magic, lifting away oxidation and revealing a warm, glowing finish underneath. It took just a few passes and a rinse to bring dull cookware back to life. No rubber gloves, no fumes, just 2 ingredients from the pantry. This trick wasn't just for pots. It worked on old ladles, trays, and vintage canisters too. Grandmas used it regularly, keeping their kitchens both functional and beautiful. In today's eco-conscious world, this hack is more relevant than ever. Natural, cheap, and satisfying. If you've got an old copper piece hiding in a cabinet, give it the lemon salt treatment. It'll sparkle like it's 1972 again. Use a damp dish towel under a cutting board. Safety first, especially in Grandma's kitchen. She knew a wobbly cutting board could lead to slips, uneven cuts, or even accidents. Her fix? A damp dish towel underneath. Just a quick rinse and wring out, folded flat beneath the board, created a sturdy, no-slip surface. It worked on tile, laminate, or even old wooden countertops. This trick stabilized the board, absorbed movement, and made chopping faster and safer. It didn't matter if the board was glass, wood, or plastic. This simple addition turned any prep surface into a professional-grade station. Today, professional chefs still use this same hack in restaurants and culinary schools. It's not about fancy tools, it's about working smart and safe. Grandma didn't just want things done, she wanted them done right. If you've ever chased a cutting board across your kitchen, try her method. It's one of those old-school tips that feels brand new the moment you use it. Store nuts in the freezer to prevent spoiling. Nuts may seem like pantry staples, but Grandma knew better. She always kept them in the freezer. Why? Because nuts contain natural oils that go rancid over time, especially in warm kitchens. By freezing them in airtight containers or bags, she preserved their flavor, crunch, and nutritional value for months. Walnuts, pecans, almonds, pine nuts, you name it. She could pull them out for baking, salads, or snacking, and they'd taste just as fresh as the day she bought them. No weird aftertaste, no wasted money. The best part? They didn't even need to thaw. Just toss them right into your recipe. This trick was especially helpful when buying nuts in bulk, which Grandma often did. Today, we're just starting to catch up to this simple preservation hack. If you've ever opened a bag of nuts and gotten a funky whiff, you'll understand. Freeze them like Grandma did. It's one of the best-kept secrets in kitchen storage. Do you keep your nuts in the pantry or the freezer? Let us know in the comments. Add a pinch of sugar to tomato sauce. Tomatoes can be tart, especially when canned or not quite ripe. That's why Grandma always added a pinch of sugar to her tomato sauces, not to make them sweet, but to balance the acidity. A small sprinkle of sugar, and sometimes a grated carrot, mellowed the sharpness and brought out the tomato's natural sweetness. It made her marinara smoother, her meat sauce richer, and her soup rounder in flavor. The key was moderation. Too much sugar, and the sauce tasted off. But just the right amount turned something harsh into something comforting. This was a trick passed down through generations and rooted in taste, not trends. Today, we have endless sauces in jars, but none of them beat the depth of Grandma's stovetop simmer. The pinch of sugar rule still applies, especially when cooking from scratch. Next time your sauce tastes flat or acidic, don't panic. Just do what Grandma did. Add a little love and a tiny spoonful of sugar. Peel hard-boiled eggs with baking soda. Grandma didn't stand at the sink struggling to peel eggs. She had a trick. Add a teaspoon of baking soda to the water before boiling. The alkaline water changes the pH level of the egg white, making it separate more easily from the shell. Once boiled and cooled, the eggs peeled like a dream. Especially older eggs, which tend to work best. This trick was especially helpful when prepping a dozen or more eggs for deviled trays, egg salad, or holiday dishes. Grandmas didn't have time for endless cracking and peeling. They needed efficiency, and this did the trick. Baking soda was already in every pantry, making it the perfect low-cost helper. Today, if you're peeling eggs for brunch, this is still one of the best ways to save time and sanity. It's a tiny adjustment with a big payoff, and once you try it, you'll never go back to the old way again.
Wash berries in vinegar to make them last longer.
Berries are delicate, and in Grandma's day, throwing them out early wasn't an option. Her solution? A quick vinegar rinse. She'd soak fresh berries in a solution of 1 part white vinegar to 3 parts water for a couple of minutes, then rinse and dry thoroughly. This killed off mold spores and bacteria that make berries spoil faster. After drying them completely, she stored them in a breathable container lined with paper towels. The berries stayed fresh for up to a week, sometimes more. No slime, no waste. This was especially helpful after a big harvest or farmer's market haul. Grandma knew how to stretch produce further than anyone. Today, this hack is a game changer for berry lovers everywhere. It's cheap, easy, and incredibly effective. Try it once, and you'll never go back to rinsing them right before eating. It's one more way Grandma turned basic ingredients into long-lasting goodness.
Rub hands with stainless steel to remove garlic and onion smell.
After chopping garlic or onions, Grandma didn't reach for soap to banish the lingering smell. She rubbed her hands on a stainless steel spoon or pan under cold water. Somehow, it worked like magic. The science? Sulfur compounds from garlic and onion bind with the molecules in stainless steel, helping to neutralize the odor. It sounds like folklore, but even chemists back it up. Grandmas figured it out the old-fashioned way, through trial and error. This trick was especially handy before fancy cutting gloves or lemon-scented soaps. It also worked on cutting boards and knives. Today you can even buy stainless steel soap bars shaped just for this purpose, but you don't need them. Just use the back of a spoon or the inside of a clean sink. It's one of those kitchen mysteries that actually holds up, and it makes your hands smell fresh without any added chemicals. Once you try it, you'll wonder how you ever lived without it.
Use a wooden spoon to keep pots from boiling over.
Grandma didn't need fancy gadgets to prevent spills, just a wooden spoon. Placing it across the top of a pot stopped starchy water, like from pasta or potatoes, from bubbling over. Why? The wood's rough surface pops the bubbles and destabilizes the foam, preventing it from spilling out. Plus, the spoon sits just above the pot, acting like a barrier. It's simple, safe, and effective. No more watching the pot like a hawk. Grandmas loved this because it saved cleaning time and avoided wasted food. This hack is especially useful when multitasking in the kitchen, one less thing to worry about. It doesn't work as well with metal or plastic, which can get hot or melt. The humble wooden spoon wins again. Next time you've got a bubbling pot threatening to explode all over your stove, reach for the trick that never fails. It's cheap, timeless, and works better than anything you'll find on a late-night infomercial.
Add a potato to fix oversalted soup.
Too much salt? Grandma didn't panic. She grabbed a potato. She'd peel it, drop it into the pot, and let it simmer for 15 to 20 minutes. The potato would absorb some of the excess salt, mellowing the overall flavor. It wasn't a perfect fix, but it often saved the meal. Once the soup was back in balance, she'd remove the potato, or leave it in, depending on the dish. This hack worked best with brothy soups, stews, and chowders. Grandmas relied on it back when there was no undo button, and food waste wasn't an option. The potato acted like a sponge, drawing in some of the salt and giving you another chance to rescue the dish. Today, this old-fashioned trick is still recommended by chefs and home cooks alike. It's not just a fix, it's a backup plan. Next time your soup is veering into saltwater territory, let Grandma's humble potato come to the rescue. Clean your microwave with a lemon. No scrubbing, no harsh chemicals, just a lemon and a bowl of water. Grandma's microwave cleaning hack was as simple as it was brilliant. She'd cut a lemon in half, squeeze the juice into a microwave-safe bowl filled with water, toss in the peels, and microwave it for 3 to 5 minutes. As it steamed, the citric acid loosened grease and food splatters while the steam softened gunk on the walls. After letting it sit a minute, she'd wipe everything clean with a cloth, no elbow grease required. The lemon also left the microwave smelling fresh. It was Grandma's way of cleaning smart, not hard. No toxic sprays, no need to disassemble parts, just nature, heat, and time. Today, it's still one of the most effective and satisfying ways to deep clean a microwave. Plus, if you love that lemony scent, you get bonus aromatherapy while you're at it. Who knew cleaning could feel like a spa day? Add a slice of apple to soften brown sugar. When Grandma reached into the cupboard and found her brown sugar hard as a rock, she didn't toss it. She revived it with a slice of apple. Placed inside an airtight container or sealed bag with the sugar, the apple releases just enough moisture to soften the hardened clumps overnight. The result? Fluffy, usable brown sugar without waste. It's a clever, natural humidifier that does the job better than microwaving, which can overheat and melt the sugar. Other options include a piece of fresh bread or even a damp paper towel, but the apple method adds a pleasant scent and works beautifully. This trick was essential back when brown sugar came in paper sacks and kitchens weren't climate controlled. Grandmas knew how to stretch ingredients and make everything last. Even today, it's one of the best low-effort fixes for an annoying pantry problem. Have you ever used the apple trick, or do you just chisel it out and hope for the best? Let us know in the comments. Cool baked goods on a raised rack, not a plate. Fresh cookies? Grandma never left them to cool on a plate or baking sheet. Instead, she transferred them to a raised cooling rack, the kind with wire grates and room underneath. This allowed air to circulate completely around each baked good, preventing steam from building up underneath and making bottoms soggy. It worked for pies, breads, muffins, and even roasted vegetables. This small tweak kept everything crisp where it should be and fluffy where it mattered. If she didn't have a rack, she improvised with oven grates or wire shelves because airflow mattered more than fancy tools. Today, cooling racks are standard in bakeries and test kitchens, but many home bakers still overlook their power. If you want your cookies to stay chewy and your crusts to stay crisp, channel Grandma's wisdom and get those treats off the tray. Did your grandma use a rack, or did she go full old school with a windowsill and towel? Let us know in the comments. Add a damp paper towel. When reheating bread or rolls, reheating bread in the microwave often leads to disappointment, dry, rubbery, or rock-hard results. But Grandma knew a trick. Wrap the roll or slice in a damp, not soaked paper towel before microwaving. The moisture creates steam as it heats, softening the bread and keeping the texture light and chewy. It works for dinner rolls, sandwich buns, and even leftover slices of baguette. This method mimics the effect of a steamer without any fancy equipment. Grandmas use this hack to revive day-old bread for breakfast, toast it up again, or serve it with soups. The microwave wasn't always her favorite tool, but when she used it wisely. Today, this hack is perfect for quick meals or salvaging leftovers. Just a little steam can bring bread back to life. One bite, and you'll understand why Grandma never gave up on a slightly stale roll. And if you thought saving bread was smart, just wait until you see how Grandma tamed onions without shedding a tear. Keep cake moist with a slice of bread. When Grandma baked a cake, she didn't let it dry out on day 2. Her solution? A simple slice of sandwich bread. She'd place a slice directly over the cut edge of the cake and secure it with a toothpick. The bread would dry out instead of the cake, acting like a little sponge shield. It was an easy, cheap fix that kept slices soft and tender, especially for homemade cakes without preservatives. Whether it was a birthday, coffee cake, or something just for Sunday supper, this trick worked wonders. You could even use 2 slices to cover both ends. It worked with brownies and muffins, too. Grandmas didn't let food go stale. They protected it. Today, with so many of us baking at home, this trick still deserves a place in your kitchen. No plastic wrap? No problem. Just reach for a slice of bread and let it take one for the team. Use rice to keep salt dry. Grandma had a simple solution for clumpy salt. Add a few grains of uncooked rice to the shaker. Rice absorbs moisture, keeping salt from sticking together in humid kitchens. This old trick was especially useful in the days before anti-caking agents were common in table salt. You've probably seen it in diners, now you know where it came from. The rice sits quietly at the bottom of the shaker, doing its job invisibly. Grandmas knew to change it out occasionally and never overloaded the shaker. A teaspoon of rice per standard salt shaker was all it took. This hack also worked for garlic salt, onion salt, or seasoned blends. Today, it's still one of the best ways to prevent frustrating clogs and awkward table shakes. Sometimes the smartest solutions are the ones that go unnoticed. So next time your salt's stuck, skip the pounding. Just do what Grandma did and let a little rice work its quiet magic.
Use a cloth bag of flour to freshen drawers.
Long before commercial deodorizers, Grandma freshened her drawers and cupboards with something simple: a little cloth bag filled with flour. She'd tie a handful of all-purpose flour into a scrap of muslin, cheesecloth, or an old handkerchief, and tuck it into dresser drawers or dry storage bins. Why? Because flour is a natural desiccant. It absorbs excess moisture and helps prevent musty smells. In dry climates, it also discouraged bugs. This hack was often used in root cellars, linen drawers, or even spice cabinets. Some grandmas added a drop of essential oil or a sprinkle of dried lavender for extra scent. It wasn't flashy, but it worked. Today, while we have baking soda and charcoal packs, this flour trick still holds up in a pinch, especially for vintage lovers or DIY homemakers. It's a lovely way to reuse, repurpose, and freshen your space naturally. Grandma knew that even pantry basics could double as home care helpers. Freeze leftover wine for cooking. Wasting wine? Not in Grandma's house. If there was a bit left in the bottle, she poured it into ice cube trays and froze it for cooking. The small portions were perfect for deglazing pans, enriching sauces, or adding depth to stews. Red or white, dry or sweet, it all had a future use. Wine cubes melted quickly and delivered rich flavor without opening a whole bottle for a splash. It was one of those hacks that showed Grandma's genius with leftovers. Nothing was wasted, and everything was repurposed. She labeled the trays, too, so she'd know which cube to grab. This method still works perfectly today, especially if you don't drink wine often, but love to cook. It's great for risottos, braises, gravies, and even pasta sauces. Just pop and pour. Thanks to Grandma, a leftover glass of wine becomes a future dinner miracle. Save Parmesan rinds for soups and sauces. When the cheese was gone, Grandma kept the rind. A good Parmigiano Reggiano rind still packed tons of umami flavor, and she never let it go to waste. Whenever she made soup, stew, or marinara, she'd drop a piece of rind into the pot. As it simmered, the rind softened and infused the broth with richness and depth. It didn't melt completely, but released a savory, cheesy flavor that transformed basic dishes into something special. After cooking, the rind was removed and discarded, or occasionally fished out and chewed on as a salty snack. Today, this technique is widely used by chefs in Italian kitchens, but Grandma did it long before it was trendy. If you've got a cheese rind, stash it in the freezer until soup night. One chunk can turn a simple vegetable broth into a Sunday dinner memory. No bouillon cube required, just Grandma's touch of flavor magic.
Use potato water and bread dough.
Grandma never poured flavor down the drain, especially not from boiled potatoes. Instead, she saved the starchy water and used it to mix bread dough. That cloudy liquid was packed with natural starches that gave her loaves extra softness, moisture, and a slightly richer flavor. It also helped the bread rise better, making it fluffier and more tender. Some even believed it extended the bread's shelf life by a day or two. This hack came from generations of bakers who learned to make every ingredient count. As soon as the potatoes were drained, Grandma would scoop out the water and let it cool before adding it to flour and yeast. No waste, all reward. Today, this trick is still embraced by artisan bakers looking for that old-school texture. If you're already making mashed potatoes, you've got the secret weapon in your pot. It's a subtle touch, but one that transforms homemade bread into something truly special. Prevent milk from boiling over with a wooden spoon. Milk has a sneaky habit of bubbling up and spilling over in seconds, but Grandma had a simple fix. She'd place a wooden spoon across the top of the pot. When the foam started rising, the spoon would break the surface tension, popping bubbles and slowing the spill. It gave just enough time to turn down the heat or pull the pot off the burner. It didn't work with metal or plastic spoons. Only wood had the right texture and resistance. Grandmas used this trick when scalding milk for recipes, heating cocoa, or prepping cream-based sauces. It was a lifesaver, especially before non-stick pots and electric kettles. Today, this hack still works and can spare you from cleaning up sticky stovetop disasters. It's also a great reminder of how the simplest tools, used creatively, can outperform expensive gadgets. A pot, some milk, and one trusty wooden spoon. That's all Grandma needed to keep the kitchen and your nerves calm. Test baking powder with hot water. Grandma didn't wait for a failed cake to find out her baking powder had gone bad. She tested it. A teaspoon of baking powder dropped into a small bowl of hot water should fizz actively, like soda. If it didn't, the leavening power was gone, and she tossed it. This simple check saved her from flat biscuits, dense pancakes, or collapsed cakes. It's one of those smart little moves that prevented bigger kitchen disasters. She also kept baking powder tightly sealed and replaced it every few months, especially in humid climates. Grandmas didn't waste ingredients, time, or effort. This hack is still super useful today, especially if you don't bake often or can't remember when you bought that canister. A quick fizz test takes seconds and gives peace of mind. If your baked goods aren't rising like they used to, maybe it's not the recipe, it's the powder. Sharpen scissors with aluminum foil. Before knife sharpeners were in every drawer, Grandma had her own fix, aluminum foil. To sharpen dull kitchen scissors, she'd fold a piece of foil several times and make multiple cuts through it. Each snip rehones the blades slightly, realigning the edges and improving cutting power. It's not a professional sharpening, but it's surprisingly effective for everyday use. This quick fix revived scissors used for herbs, parchment paper, or kitchen twine. It also worked well for crafting scissors that lost their edge on thick fabrics. Foil was always on hand, making it a convenient go-to. It's also a great way to reuse foil that's clean but crumpled. Many people still use this trick today. It's especially handy in the middle of a recipe when your scissors just won't cut it. Literally. It's the kind of low-tech genius that saved many a recipe from chaos. But what if we told you Grandma had a trick to ripen fruit faster, using nothing but a bag and a banana? Keep cookies soft with a slice of bread. Grandma didn't let cookies go stale. If a batch started to harden, she slipped a slice of white bread into the container. The bread's moisture transferred into the cookies, keeping them soft and chewy for days. The bread, meanwhile, slowly dried out, basically sacrificing itself for dessert. This trick worked wonders on chocolate chip, molasses, oatmeal, or peanut butter cookies. The key was to store everything in an airtight container and check the bread after a day or two. Replace it as needed, and the cookies stay bakery fresh. Grandmas often used this after holidays or big baking weekends when leftover cookies needed to last. It's a brilliant, no-effort way to preserve texture without reheating or adding ingredients. Today, it's still one of the best ways to revive or maintain your sweet treats, especially if you're gifting or prepping ahead. Next time you bake, save a slice for the cookie jar. Grandma's secret weapon is as good as ever. Soak onions in water to cut the bite. Tired of sharp, eye-watering onions in your salad? Grandma had a fix for that. Soaking sliced onions in cold water for 10-15 minutes. This trick mellowed the raw onion's bite, making it sweeter and more pleasant to eat, especially in cold dishes like potato salad, coleslaw, or sandwiches. The water draws out sulfur compounds responsible for the harsh flavor and eye sting. Grandmas often did this instinctively, especially if serving onions raw to picky eaters or kids. It softened the flavor without changing the crunch. A little vinegar in the water could add even more balance, almost like a quick pickle. The result? Onion slices that were crisp, bright, and won't overpower your dish. Today, this trick is still used by chefs, deli pros, and home cooks alike. One soak, and your onions transform into salad-ready stars. Have you ever tried mellowing onions this way? Or do you embrace the full onion blast? Let us know in the comments. Use vinegar to freshen a stale loaf. When bread started to go stale, Grandma didn't toss it. She revived it with a splash of vinegar in a warm oven. She'd lightly mist or sprinkle a stale loaf with diluted vinegar, just a tablespoon or two in a cup of water. Wrap it in foil and bake it at a low temperature for 10 to 15 minutes. The vinegar rehydrated the bread and brightened the flavor, while the heat restored the crust. It wasn't like brand new, but it was miles better than dry, cardboardy slices. This trick was perfect for salvaging yesterday's baguette, sandwich rolls, or even dinner biscuits. Grandmas treated food with respect, and this method turned potential waste into a fresh second act. Today, we often reach for the trash too quickly, when we could be reaching for vinegar instead. It's another gentle reminder that many of our problems in the kitchen were solved generations ago, with ingredients already on hand.
Use an ice cube to reheat rice without drying it out.
Reheating leftover rice often results in a dry, clumpy mess. But Grandma had a fix. She'd place an ice cube on top of the rice, cover the bowl with a damp paper towel, and microwave it. The ice wouldn't melt directly into the rice. Instead, it steamed as it heated, rehydrating each grain and making it fluffy again. The wet paper towel helped trap that steam, boosting the effect. It was a tiny trick that delivered big results, especially when using day-old rice for fried rice or rice bowls. No more gummy blobs or crunchy edges. Grandmas always looked for gentle ways to restore leftovers, and this one worked like a charm. If you've ever tossed out rice because it didn't reheat well, this hack changes everything. Bonus, it works for couscous and quinoa too. It's proof that sometimes, all it takes is one little cube to bring dinner back to life. Ripen fruit faster with a banana in a paper bag. Grandma didn't wait for hard peaches or avocados to ripen on their own. She made it happen with a banana and a brown paper bag. Bananas release ethylene gas, a natural ripening hormone. When sealed inside a bag with other fruits, this gas gets trapped and speeds up the process. Within a day or two, Hard pears turn juicy and rock-solid avocados soften perfectly. The paper bag helps by allowing moisture to escape while holding in enough gas to do the trick. Grandmas used this method regularly to avoid wasting underripe produce. It's ideal for ripening fruit for canning, baking, or just making sure nothing goes to waste. Plastic bags don't work the same.